Hi, Michael.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Good, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much for joining. I do have some questions for you, and
hmm
it's going to be very easy. I'll just ask you the questions, and you can tell me as much as you like for me to know.
Perfect.
The first question is, tell me about yourself and your business, MacDaddy Oakland.
Yeah, so my name is Michael Russ. I'm 29 years old, Oakland native, Bay Area native. I was born and raised there. I went to school in Alameda, K through 8, and then I actually moved to the Central Valley, graduated high school, and pretty much like my whole adult life and even just growing up, I've always loved cooking and just being in the kitchen, asking questions. I used to watch Food Network all the time. And so I decided, you know what, let me try culinary school. And so I went to Delta College in San Joaquin County, so like San Joaquin Delta College. I graduated from there with high honors and like with 6 different degrees, baking and pastry, culinary arts, and also like some business degrees. And from there, I was working at a mental hospital, and because I also love psychology as well, but my main love is food. And so from there, I said, you know what, like I need a bit more experience just in the industry and just kind of getting like, just my name out there and networking more. And so I went to Vegas, and from there, I was working at the Wynn for about 3.5 years as the head pastry chef. And then I got the opportunity, the phone call came in, and I was able to go on Best Baker in America on Food Network, season 3.
Awesome.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. The show premiered May 2019, and I didn't win, but it was still an awesome opportunity. Super amazing
Experience.
Super great experience, and even just the exposure and just from that alone was awesome. Met some awesome people. Moved back to the Bay because I miss my family so much. I was working as the head pastry chef at the Wolf in Oakland over on Piedmont.
Mm-hmm.
And then once COVID hit, everything shut down. I was actually in Mexico at the time, and I was kind of just chilling, just kind of absorbing it all in. And I said, well, and at that point, I was already doing cakes still on the side, just here and there, but nothing really, full time, until it kind of hit me. And I said, I really need to kind of use this space and this time to create something, and to kind of, just use this creative, bubble in my mind, because my mind's just always tinkering away. I get just ideas and sketches and everything. And so I actually had this concept initially when I was in Vegas. I saw this sign, and then just the script of it, I loved the font, and it was gold, it was super shiny. I said, you know what, my next business, it's gonna have that color scheme, it'll be awesome, kind of 80s retro kind of fit, kind of vibe. And then so at the Wynn, kind of backtracking, my whole idea for MacDaddy was I was making about 300 of them a day, and they're these French macaroon cookies. They're pretty much like sandwich cookies, and so to make a whole, it takes 2 halves. So I would make on average about 300 shells, 300 half shells to make 150 cookies per day, every single day. And so my friend one day, she said, oh, you're like the macaroon king. I said, no, I'm the Mac Daddy.
Oh, I love it. That was going to be my next question, is where did the name come from?
Yeah. And so people always hear the name and they're like, Mac Daddy. I'm like, it isn't what you think. It's like the other Mac Daddy.
Right.
And so that's where the name came from. And so I kind of just put MacDaddy with that font and that script that I saw, and then kind of gave it my own little twist with some gold, and then the color scheme with the marble and the kind of pastel pink, kind of blue and purplish.
It's a very pretty logo. I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was great. I feel
that was a long story.
That's what I want. I want the viewers to hear about your story and how it started. I feel like it's very inspiring. And that goes into my next question, which is, what was your inspiration about starting MacDaddy Oakland? I feel like you talked about it with your love for cooking and pastries, but if there's anything else you want to add.
So much, because I feel like I kind of just touched on just like, just like tiny things here and there. I've always had the biggest sweet tooth, and so that was kind of more so my inspiration for even cooking, because I said, well, I love brownies, I love ice cream, I love cookies, and I love eating, so I might as well learn how to make it and make it good for myself.
Right.
And so that's just kind of where it all stemmed from. But I've just, I fall in love with food. Food is like one of my love languages.
Yeah.
I always say that, like, my hobby is eating. I was born 10 pounds, 12 ounces. I was a big baby, and I ate a lot. I ate so much, and I still do. I love snacking. I love cooking. And I also love the fact that, like, when I give someone my creation of what I made, they're so happy, and it just seeing that smile on their face just makes it all worth it for me. And even kind of segueing into the whole custom cake thing. Custom cakes honestly were not my forte. Like in school, we spent like a week on cakes. Everything up to now has all been like self-taught. And really, it was actually one of my friends. Her name was Sadaf. We went to high school together, and she was the first one to ask me to make this first custom cake for her. Like, it was for her niece. She was turning, I believe, 2. It was like an Elmo, like 3-tiered cake. When she first told me, I was like, it was daunting. I said, like, I've never made something tiered, let alone 3 tiers, and like, this like 3D Elmo head on top. I said, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I said, you know what? I'll work it out step by step. I did my research as I normally do. Like, I'm very, very, I do my homework. And then I just did it, and I went for it. And for me, I can never say no to a challenge. And so, and that's why, and just pastry in general, but even more so cakes. Every single cake, every single pastry, they all have their own challenges and, different factors you have to weigh in and everything. So I couldn't say no to it. So I did it, and the Elmo face came out so good to myself. I was like, you know what? I could actually probably do this, I think. And then just slowly, I was like, like mostly doing cakes for family, and just testing ideas and techniques and watching so much YouTube, so much Google.
Yes,
and so finally, I got better and better and better. And I said, I can start like making this like, just like into a business. Because initially, like going to culinary school, I saw myself as more of a savory chef. I mean, I always loved desserts, but I never really saw myself as like a pastry chef until I went to culinary school, went through the program, and then my baking teacher, he was so amazing. Like Chef Hallebecky, I have to give him a shout out, because just his love for like his craft and just his expertise and his knowledge he was like Bill Nye the Science Guy meets like, Neil deGrasse Tyson, or like, like however you say his name. He was just so passionate and so awesome. And he really inspired me to kind of go after it. And so, I have, like really me into that kind of pastry world. And so, I kind of segued into a lot of things, but pretty much I love cakes. I do cakes, and it's my passion. And I would say that I definitely see myself as an artist, and so I'm definitely able to kind of showcase my art, like my artistry, my like creative expression, all of it. I'm able to showcase it so much well on like a cake palette, and even just in like desserts in general and flavor combinations. Like, I like to combine a lot of unorthodox flavors that you normally wouldn't kind of put together, or even see in a cake. Like even just earlier, I gave someone, an idea for like a black sesame cake with like a Thai tea ganache filling.
Ooh.
Just a little example.
That makes me think about boba, the Thai tea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You talked about like your challenges of like the custom cakes, but I did want to know like, what has been your biggest challenge or obstacle that you've overcome as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, I would say the biggest challenge has been I would say getting the exposure, so it's kind of a balance in, promoting, trying to, like just like paying for promotions, but also keeping the business, profitable at the same time, and balancing all the ends of like, making sure that there's continuous business and that there is enough marketing out there, to keep the business flowing and coming in, but also to where we're not spending so much on that. And then, not prioritizing like, better ingredients, or even like, or even like testing recipes and kind of testing new things. So it's kind of been, a challenge of balancing, and also kind of testing, how well we can balance all the different factors like that come into running a business. But I would say I've been successful so far. So
I agree. I feel like being an entrepreneur is definitely a balancing act. Like there's so many things to consider and there's so many things to balance all at once. So completely agree.
So much so.
Yeah. I didn't have this on my list, but you keep talking about custom cakes and you brought up the Elmo cake, and I want to know what has been your favorite cake to make thus far?
I knew you were gonna ask that just as you were like setting it up. I think my favorite cake, that's so hard, honestly, because and they're almost like my babies. Like I feel like if I choose one, you know, I can't choose the other one.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. My favorite one, I think, I would say the one that represents me the most as like an artist, I would say that if I were to show someone like an alien, you know, like say, hey, you know, like what do you do? I would show them, and it's on my Instagram. It's this 5-tier, all white and gold cake. There's like ruffles at the very bottom, like the most bottom tier. And then there's like stenciling work, there's gold leaf, there's peonies, but just the concept of it is so simple, but also so modern and elegant. And it definitely represents my style, me as a person, and also just like my spirit. Not saying I'm like 100% white and pure. There's still imperfections in the cake if you like look closely, but overall, I think it's a very composed, beautiful, elegant masterpiece.
Oh my God, what a beautiful analogy. Like I could so like picture the cake in my head, and I have to definitely go on your Instagram and look at it.
Yes, I think it's probably the 9th or 10th post. It's definitely down towards the beginning. I mean, there aren't that many posts, but you know, like it's towards the beginning for sure.
I'll find it. Where do you see MacDaddy Oakland in the near future and the far future?
In the near future, I see MacDaddy Oakland in not necessarily a brick and mortar, but definitely a much more like mobile, if anything, kind of like food truck-esque kind of concept where it's almost like a dessert truck. So I definitely see MacDaddy much more like mobile, and even beyond the reach of Oakland and even the Central Valley, even going towards like LA and things like that, you know, because like, you know, the food truck can go anywhere as long as there's roads and everything. So that's the near future. I would say the far future, I would definitely want to have my own MacDaddy like shop where it's just decked out. I want to have cakes on the wall, displays. I want to have, you know, like my like dessert case. I want to just showcase it, but I also want to have. I mean, I can't give too much of my business. You know, what's the word? It's intellectual property. I can't give away too much of my intellectual property, but I will say that I want it to be just a space where people can come to not only enjoy themselves, but also have a good time and also be educated too. I definitely I'm a very big advocate about teaching and kind of giving back to the community and also volunteering and, you know, and donations and things like that. But I'm very, very into, you know, I definitely want to pass on my legacy to like the next generation and teach them, you know, things that I knew, and hopefully at a young age that they can, you know, prosper from that and, you know, and actually get, you know, just knowledge and wisdom from that.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
Is there anything that we haven't covered so far that you want everyone to know?
I covered a lot, but
anything.
I would just say, just keep enjoying yourself and eat a lot of cake, even if you're on a diet. You know, have that slice because life is really short, and you know, and even if it's not for me, I mean, you know, get it for me because my cake is bomb.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm just gonna plug myself.
Yeah.
But definitely, I mean, you know, eat the cake.
I love it. My last question, I know you're on Instagram, but is there any other like platforms or your website, or how can everyone find you and eat your cake?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is at macdaddyoakland.com. And even from there, you can find the Instagram, which is at macdaddyoakland. We also have a Facebook. And I'm working on the Twitter, might even get a TikTok, but it's in the works for sure.
Cool.
But give us a follow, check us out, you know, tap in with us. We'll take care of you.
Perfect. This was so awesome.
Of course. No, thank you so much.